Well, I was about to start, and then Ari left. I don't know if this will be in the episode, whether I'm that malicious or not, but welcome back. Welcome back, Ari. You returned from your long departure.
I was trying to find my clown horn. I don't know where I placed it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had it.
Because,
When I
yeah,
went down,
here's
I
the.
drove 4 hours down, and the first thing I said was like, "Hey, bring the clown horn," and I don't know where it is now.
Oh, that must
Yeah,
suck. Here's the
yeah.
thing, you got up the moment I hit record. So I was like about to just end welcome. And then I just see like all that.
I just leaped from my chair.
Yeah. Well, we're finding new and clever ways to mix up the intro here. We're back with another Monday recap.
Clown
Probably
horn noise. Clown
skipped a
horn
couple
noise. Clown
weeks.
horn noise.
Yeah, we skipped a couple of weeks, but that's what we get for deciding to come back right at the busiest time of the Jewish calendar.
Yeah, and that's what we always get for being college students, and that's why we should drop out and do this full time. Make sure you do like and subscribe.
Indeed. So, busy time for us. Also, a busy time for the sports world. I don't know if you heard about this little thing called the National Football League that's kind of 2 weeks into its season already. So, what we thought we'd do for this episode is just sort of go through the, what is it, 31 games that have been played so far among 32 different teams. First, we're recording this before Monday night, week 2, Packers Lions. Sorry if you were looking forward to that, but let's jump right into it.
Yeah, so where should we start? Because there is a lot. Well, yeah, no, where should we start? Because I can bring this up later.
I guess let's start with something that probably would have had a lot more juice to it week 1, since every team in both divisions were undefeated. But there are some powerhouses in the West. And if you want to ask what, I know it's only week 2, but the Kansas City Chiefs have either a tied or a worse record than every team in the NFC and AFC West.
Yeah, so according to Pro Football Reference, they are the 4th team in the AFC West, right behind the Chargers, who have the same record as them, and behind the undefeated Broncos and Raiders. Which, imagine saying that last year, that the Broncos and Raiders will have a better season than the Chiefs.
Again, only week 2, but hey, this is as good a time as any to overreact. And what I will say is, from what we have seen from the Broncos so far, I know they only played the Giants and the Jaguars, but I mean, the Broncos the past few years have been a team that, like, you feel like could show promise, maybe as a dark horse, no pun intended, to make the playoffs, but never really like anything actually came to be. This year, I don't know, something feels different. Maybe it's with Teddy Bridgewater, as I'm trying to pull up his stats. I'll let
Yeah,
Ari talk a little bit more about that. Maybe it's the
yeah.
defense. They
So
held
as
they
we
held the
knew,
Giants
ever
and
since
Jags both to 13 points. I need to stop talking.
no, you're good. Well, this is what we get for being a little off rhythm. But yeah, as we knew, the Broncos really did have a lot of quarterback. They had a quarterback carousel going on ever since Peyton Manning left, and Teddy Bridgewater, a guy who I really want to succeed, and who I also thought didn't really fit in the Panthers' scheme, was excited to see him with the Broncos, with their receiving core, with their line, because it kind of felt like the Panthers what they had, but with a different scheme. So in these 2 games alone, I don't want to jinx what I'm saying though. I feel like I do that a lot. So if Teddy automatically sucks, you know who to blame. So in these past 2 games, Teddy has he's 54 for 70 with a 77.1% completion rate, 592 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions.
Yeah, all that making for a 120.7 passer rating. I mean, again, I know, like, I think this goes without saying that, like, on the list of perpetually underappreciated quarterbacks. He is at the top. Hopefully, by the end of this season, that will no longer be the case. But there may or may not be something brewing up in the Rocky Mountains.
Listen,
Of course,
I'm
not
telling
to
you,
be outdone is the rest of the division. All of them are showing promise. Even, I mean, the Raiders, like I know they always like have like these surprise wins, these strong starts. I think, yeah, was it last year they beat the Saints week 2? This year they beat the Steelers week 2 and the Ravens in that Monday night thriller week 1.
Oh my God, what again?
Uh,
Yeah, and the Raiders kind of always do this. I remember it was 2 years ago they did beat the Steelers, and then they kind of turned to utter dog shit. But they are one of, what is it, 5 teams that are still undefeated. I know it's still week 2, so it doesn't mean much, but it's impressive. Like Derek Carr, he's 66.7% with a completion record, 62 of 93, 817 yards, 4 TDs, 1 interception. He's playing really good, and rushing game is strong, defense is good. And this isn't the Raiders that we keep laughing about. Well, not yet until we have to wait a little longer because I know it's still week 2, but this isn't the Raiders that we all like to make fun of. Derek Carr is currently leading the NFL in passing yards. I think if Derek Carr continues how he's doing, we could see a whole new level of Raiders that we've never seen before.
yeah. Also, in addition, like I know I had a lot of questions, as I'm sure most people did, about the defense that, I mean, hasn't really shown up in seasons past. They've done it so far. They held the Ravens just to 27 points, and then the Steelers to 17. So I mean, again, I know the Steelers aren't the most prolific, but like the Raiders defense of old, I do think would have given up like 30, 40 points. It's not been that yet, so something's been working there.
Yeah.
But again, like they still have 2 matchups against arguably the best offense in the league in the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're gonna have to find some answers for that. But speaking of those Chiefs, them and the Chargers, each 1-1. They'll play each other week 3, so one of them is going to be 2-1. One of them will be 1-2. I mean, both of them have had a close loss in week 2 and a dominant week 1 showing.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting game to see. Obviously, this is actually the first time Patrick Mahomes lost to Lamar Jackson, and this is also Patrick Mahomes' first loss in September. Nothing really big, but it is interesting to point. But come on, it's the Chargers. They are the front runners to the choke bowl. No, wait. It's so bad the Falcons are the lead runners to the choke bowl, but the Chargers do tend to blow leads. It is going to be a fun game, and this is a great division. And I mean, obviously, you got last year's rookie of the year, Justin Herbert. He's number 4 in passing yards. This is a fun offense with a defense that hopefully can hold up.
I want to talk about that defense for a second because what I feel like so many people are overlooking, and I sort of said the same thing last year with your Browns and Kevin Stefanski. Coming from that Vikings offensive system, like you saw that Vikings offense was it 2020? Him bringing that system into Cleveland, and that worked really well. Well, the Chargers' new head coach, Ronnie Staley, is that his name?
That's a great question.
No, who am I thinking of? Chargers head coach Brandon Staley.
Yes.
Right, Brandon. So sorry about that, but he's coming over from being the Rams defensive coordinator, and by most metrics last year, the Rams had the best defense in the league. So I mean, when you add on to that, you're getting former Pro Bowler Derwin James back from injury, missed the 2020 season. Like this defense could be set up to surprise a lot of people. Not to mention Justin Herbert in his second year. Everyone is expecting another step forward with enough weapons around him, and Eckler and Keenan Allen and what have you. So I mean, this team, I don't know if they're ready to compete with the Chiefs in the AFC West, but certainly a front runner for a wild card spot.
I think that also is a lot because I really do want this Chiefs team to succeed. I really do. I love a lot of these players. I love what they're doing. The problem is they're so unpredictable. We've seen these in the past when they're just so unpredictable with the leads that they have the game and they choke it. I really want them to do good, but this is a tough division. The AFC is also very tough. It doesn't help that they're in a tough division. But I think next week's game really does show the power if the Chargers could run with the big boys, you know?
Yeah, it really can. Of course, I really do have to disagree with you, at least this season, as far as the Choke Bowl champions. That award so far, 100% has to go to the Minnesota Vikings. They lost their Week 1 matchup in Cincinnati, as there is a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos. It will be a home run, and so that will make it a 4-0 ball game, just as it did on 9/11. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to make that joke again, whether that be talking about the Reds, whether that be my co-host right here who's telling me to cut it out. But I just thought I would get that out there because I don't know if I get another chance. But the Vikings did lose to the Bengals Week 1 in overtime after a Dalvin Cook fumble leading to a Bengals game-winning field goal. And then that Week 2 game against the Cardinals, they had the lead most of the game and had a chance to win it with a field goal. But Vikings kickers and field goals, game-winning field goals.
So it never gets old, unless you're a Vikings fan. But yeah, my thing is with the Vikings, we kind of know what to expect from them defensively. Because offensively, Kirk isn't the issue as much as people want him to believe. You know, I don't really like Kirk. I'm going to be honest, but he's not the biggest issue with them. Defensive consistency is a key part of that, and that's a big reason why they keep having these lead changes. And while Dalvin Cook's fumble doesn't help at all, he is definitely not an issue. I mean, he's number 4 in rushing yards this year. I know it's only 2 games also, but in sacks, Daniel Hunter is number 2 with four sacks. Eric Hendricks is number 2 with 26 tackles. Like, this is a decent team, but not all of the pieces are there to fit in yet. And I think that's the biggest issue they have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, of course, people will go to blame Kirk, but like, again, 351 yards in Week 1, 244 yards and 3 touchdowns in Week 2. Like, pass ratings above 100 in both games. I mean, like, I don't know, you really gotta like find again. You can say maybe the front 7 on the defense are pulling their weight, but when you give up 27, then you give up 34. I would probably look to the secondary. I can probably try to put up their numbers in a moment, but the moment's probably gone. But let's go back to the NFC West because they're also doing pretty well. Some teams there. The Niners, Rams, and Cardinals are all 2-0. Granted, Cardinals with a little bit of an asterisk because of that Vikings game Week 2. But the only loss in the NFC West has been the Seahawks to the Titans in Week 2 in overtime, 30-33.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say right here, this might be one of the best divisions this year. It's the most. Last year we thought this was going to be the most competitive division. Obviously, things fell apart. I mean, 3 teams are undefeated, and for me, 2 of these teams are very shocking. I did not expect the 49ers and the Cardinals to be in this position. For me, I still don't buy the Cardinals hype. I didn't buy it last year at all. I knew it was going to be a fluke. I knew it wasn't going to live up to the hype. I still think Kyler needs to work out some kinks in his system. I still think they need a running game. I still think they don't have a decent enough secondary. I still think they don't know how to work with Isaiah Simmons, and I still don't trust Cliff Clinsbury. For me, the only reason they won is because they beat a Week 1 Titans team who didn't know what they were doing, who seemed out of rhythm, and they beat the Minnesota Vikings. Like, I still don't. it's kind of like saying that Broncos deserve to be undefeated because they beat the Jags and the Jets. The Giants. To me, I still feel like they didn't really prove anything yet. I want to see this team do good, but it's still very shocking to me. I still don't buy into the hype. And for the 49ers, it's the 49ers. It's usually either they do an amazing year, they go to the playoffs, or they get injured. But this is a fun division to watch, and I can't wait for more of these games.
Yeah, and what I will say about the NFC West, and this is in part because legitimately every team has the pieces to go to a Super Bowl. I mean, two teams in the past 3 years have done it, the Rams and Niners. The Seahawks, I think, have made like what it's like 10 of the last 11 playoffs or some crazy number like that. And I mean, even the Cardinals, like you saw last year, those flashes of greatness with Kyler, DeAndre Hopkins, the Hail Murray, the defense looking a lot better. Of course, I mean, Chandler Jones, that 5-sack game in week 1. And again, like really feel like picking up right where they wanted to leave off in 2020. And in part because of that, and in part because really the NFC doesn't seem to have all that real like clear-cut wild card teams. There may not be a better opportunity than this season for an entire division to make the playoffs with the NFC West.
Yeah, and I think as of now, all teams should make it. I mean, the Seahawks only lost in an overtime game. They still had so much chance. It's not as bad as a lot of these other teams that are they barely escaped with a loss. They could have been undefeated. This entire division could still be undefeated. Nothing against the Seahawks, though. I think this might be the year where we finally see that rule where if a division leader, if there are teams that are better than a division winner with a better record, then they will probably make the playoffs. I hope we get rid of that rule. And I think this might be the season that shows it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, at least in terms of division winner, like if they're under 500, I get it. If they're over 500, then like they're over 500. They still probably deserve to make the playoffs. But I digress. Where to would we like to move now?
How's about we talk about the Carolina Panthers? Obviously, a lot of people were surprised about them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think you got a lot to say from your facial expressions.
yeah, I don't really know what there like really is to say. I mean, a week 1 win against the Jets is a week 1 win against the Jets, and seeing Sam Darnold throw touchdown passes to Robbie Anderson is sure to upset some Jets fans. It just leaves me smiling and laughing at the Jets' incompetence. But when you go into week 2 against a Saints team that had such a dominant performance against the Packers week 1 and just shut them down, like, what do you want to say? Like, this, if there's a team to overreact to and say, oh, they might actually be going places, then this is it.
Yeah, and I've been a big fan of this Panthers team for years, for a while now. I was very sad when Curtis Samuel left. I was very happy when Darnold got in that system because I knew this is the time for him to blossom. I think now we kind of stomp down those things, saying that Darnold's the bad quarterback, and it's the Jet system that keeps screwing it up. But this is a fun Panthers team to watch. They're explosive on offense. Their defense is killer, and I'm just here for the ride. Huh?
Yeah. I just gotta say, poor Zach Wilson. Like,
And
I
Trevor
know
Lawrence.
people, like,
We got to talk about both of them.
yeah, of
They're
course.
in the same boat together.
I mean, Wilson in particular. I mean, I just feel like the Jags, they just don't have anything. Like, it feels like they're able to, at some capacity, like, understand that they have nothing. The Jets just always think they're one quarterback away from saving their franchise, much like some Midwestern team with a visor wearing coach that I have been frustrated by, but we can save that for later. All I gotta say is if any Jets front office people are watching this, first of all, I'm honestly not too surprised. Like, I don't know what you're listening to make the decisions that you make. So I don't know, might as well listen to us. And second of all, you still think Sam Darnold's the problem? You still think you needed to spend that second round pick on Zach Wilson and not Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase or someone that could have helped your offense?
No, but quarterbacks for the win, guys. We always need a quarterback to win. It's all about the quarterback. Even though we have Pro Bowlers and competitive guys, we need them. Like that's just kind of what it feels like recently. That a lot of times it's not the quarterback's fault that they're failing. Is that they have no team around them. Like for Jacksonville, yeah, you got the highest quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, and then you have another first overall pick, and what do? You draft another running back when you had James Robinson and Carlos Hyde already. Like a lot of times it feels like GMs really don't know how to build around their teams. And then it's so easy to make the scapegoat the quarterback, like we've seen in some guy from the 2017 NFL draft, who we shall not name that team. But yeah, I think a lot of the times it's easier to blame the quarterback. And I think rookies, we talk about this a lot, rookies need time to develop. Look what's happening with Trey Lance right now. He doesn't need to step in games because Garoppolo is managing them fine. There's no reason for Trey Lance to get in yet. Let him sit the bench. Let him get the playbook down. Let him get a physical. Let him get that emotion, that connection with the receivers in the team. And when he's ready, when you think you need him, place him in again. Give him time to sit. If you could, let the quarterback sit. It never fails. It almost never fails.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think you see this with, you see this with a lot of guys who get rushed in like way too soon, like you're seeing with Zach Wilson. I don't know, like we were talking about last season with Tua, with him sort of supposed to have shirted this season. He gets put in, and the critics are calling for his head. I mean, I guess now we can sort of transition over to the irony of that, of Tua in his week 2 matchup against the Bills. Suffered a rib injury, if I'm not mistaken. Unsure of how much time he'll miss. But what I will say is, for a shutout, Jacoby Brissett did do as well as he could. I mean, there were a lot of deep drives where Flores just decided to go for it on 4th down, and they probably could have settled for a field goal, but turnover on downs. But again, I digress. And again, like, hoping for the best for Tua.
Honestly, I think Tua was the most overrated player in this league. Hopefully he could rest up and get better. Hopefully it's not too serious. And that's going back to that Dolphins game. Remember, 3 of their best receivers, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, and Preston Williams, were out of that game. So
Williams was in that game, as was Parker, as was Jalen Waddle.
No, Waddle was in the game. I thought Parker was hurt.
Parker, Fuller was hurt.
Yeah.
But no, I watched that game. Parker was in, Preston Williams was in, Jalen Waddle was in, Gesicki, Gaskin.
Yeah. Errors and omissions. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I had an injury list up
I just want to embrace my Bills fandom newfound here for a bit and talk about the other side of that game. Yeah.
It's only a matter of time until they put Mitch in. Which I honestly wanted him to. During that.
Yeah, I would listen. I would not. You have no complaints from me if, for whatever reason, Trubisky is in. Again, like barring an injury from Josh Allen. Speaking of Josh Allen, though, I am a little bit concerned with his production in the first 2 weeks. nothing really has been eye-popping from him, aside from like a couple of runs. But again, you can say that week 1, the Steelers, week 2, the Dolphins, they have both been some pretty good defenses, and it's not going to get much better with Washington week 3. But in those first 2 weeks, he's thrown for a total of 449 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, for a passer rating of 77.9. So it's not the way you want to start. Again, I'm willing to give him a little bit of leniency because of the defenses that he's faced so far, because sort of shaking off the rust, furthest into the playoffs he's ever been. Coming off of last season, that again, like if this keeps going and he doesn't show any signs of improvement, I will start to worry. But give it some time.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't turn to another quarterback who was kind of mediocre before, had one incredible season, almost went to a Super Bowl, and then the next year kind of fell off. Hopefully he doesn't. Who was also white and from a college not many people heard of, who also was drafted higher than most people projected.
You know what? Never mind. I'll just let you figure out where you went to.
Blake Bortles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now you see it, right?
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking.
No, I'm not. I can't compare to Mitch. It was going to be too hard, but I think nothing yet. I think because also in that offseason, the Bills had a lot of off-the-field controversy, which obviously it's nothing like, and I think something like this with COVID, obviously. When you have players who are really pro the vaccine and anti the vaccine, you're going to have a lot of tension in the locker room, and that's obviously going to take away from the product in the field. I think that's going to be in a lot of people's heads. I think that's people not focused, but maybe I could be completely wrong, but right now, yeah, Josh is just kind of above average. He's not Daniel Jones, but and listen.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about Cole Beasley off the field. Like, believe me, I will. He is a complete fucking idiot. But on the field, he can catch a football.
But I think we do have to talk about that. We do have to talk about one really, really bad team. Only because we're talking about the 2018 draft class right now. And listen, they made 9 mistakes. They made 9 mistakes above this guy, and he played for the Falcons recently.
Did he? I honestly didn't even know. That just shows you how irrelevant the Falcons are in my brain right now. I'm just sort of assuming they'll end up with like another top 10 pick.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, they are 0-2. They have for points for, they ranked 29th out of 32. Points against, they're 31st out of 32. Arthur Smith, I will give him credit. He is a newer coach, but this team, man, it just doesn't seem good. Offense doesn't seem to click. Matt Ryan, he's 69.1% completion rating, which is pretty nice, but for other reasons. 464 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And I don't really see anything clicking. When you look at some highlights even, nothing seems to click. The offense doesn't seem to have any momentum. The defense has no momentum. It's just like there's something bothering them. There's nothing that's clicking. There's nothing there. It seems like this is the first time these guys are playing football together, and nothing's working for them. Well, Greg, they did also play the Buccaneers last week, so I get that. But to the Eagles, so basically get blown out by the Eagles. It's a little concerning. Thankfully for them, they play the Giants football team and Jets back to the next 3 weeks. So maybe we'll see something else. But right now, Falcons aren't looking good.
Yeah, no. I mean, what I will say is the rest of the division isn't going to make it any easier for them. You have the defending champion Bucks, who need no introduction. Offense has just been firing on all cylinders. I will say I'm a little bit concerned. The defense does seem like it might be taking a step back from last year, especially that week 1 performance against the Cowboys. Although that may have just been more so due to the Cowboys offense, Dak actually being back on the field. It may have had more to do with that. But again, 25 to the Falcons. 2 pick sixes may cancel that out, though. So I may be overreacting.
But
again, Bucks, top of the league. Panthers, again, who really knows with them? And also, who really knows with the Saints? Because week 1 and week 2 could not have been any more different.
It's day and night, basically.
Yeah, week one Saints Packers, we had a matchup where we were getting hyped up about a quarterback who was about to start another MVP type season, and one who has not played in over a year. And it certainly looked like it, just not in the way you'd think.
Yeah. James looked like the front runner for MVP in week 1. Aaron Rodgers looked like he was going to retire just to host Jeopardy because that deal was not off the table yet. Obviously, we don't know what the Packers are like because we only seen one game out of the time recording. But I don't really know what to say for the Saints. They're still without Michael Thomas. Quarterback is still a big blur. They're in cap hell. I think they missed their playoff window. But if you really need to make a push, this has to be the year. I keep saying, if Jameis could stop the turnovers as much, he will be a great quarterback. The last time he played, over 5,000 yards, led the league in passing yards, but he also led the league in interceptions. Obviously, that's not good. And that Buccaneers team definitely had a better receiving core than the Saints do. But who knows? Maybe we'll see something different. As long as I don't know. I want to say as long as Brady, but Brady's the GOAT. I think we established that after the Super Bowl episode. But this is going to be an interesting division. Maybe not for the best, but it's going to be interesting. And another interesting division, was the NFC.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm generally surprised by the NFC East. I thought almost all these teams are going to be 2-0-2 for the most part. Well, maybe because I'm so used to these past previous years, but Eagles currently sit on top. Then as the Washington name redacted, then the Cowboys, they're all 1-1, and then the Giants obviously are 0-2. I didn't expect it to be that good.
A couple of 1-1s and an 0-2, especially when one of those wins came from an in-division matchup, isn't all that. But again, I do get it. It's still something. And yeah, the NFC East is definitely going to be better than it was last year for so many reasons. The Eagles actually feel like they might have their shit together on at least one side of the ball. Saquon Barkley's coming back for the Giants. Dak Prescott's coming back for the Cowboys. And Washington actually really felt like it was getting its groove towards the back half of the 2020 season, and they may be able to carry that momentum into this year. So really each of them feels like they have at least some reason to have hope that they can win the division this year.
Yeah, I would say all that for the Giants. I think the biggest issue is the Giants' defense is great on paper, but kind of implode on the field. And Daniel Jones is still very inconsistent with that turnovers. But that's just my thing on it. I think Saquon still needs to find his groove. I hopefully he does. And the football team, for me, killer defense. But I feel like they're not there yet. I think something's not clicking for them mentally. But right now, all hail the name redacted and all hail Tyler Heineke, the GOAT.
Dear God.
Yeah.
I have to talk about Dan Snyder's abomination one more time. That tells you we didn't even talk about what happened at FedEx Field.
Oh my God, we didn't.
Their home opener. The first time they have fans for who knows how long.
Over a year.
And there's sewage leaking into the stands.
Oh my god, that's terrible. Like, sell the team. Fuck Snyder and fuck Spanos.
Can't say
But
that
sell the
enough.
team. This team is too. This team, the people there are too good for Snyder. Riverboat Ron is too good. Tyler Heineke is too good. Scary Terry's too good. Chase Young, Montez Sweet, Curtis Samuel, they're all too good for him. Sell the team, Snyder. Sell it to us even. We would love to have that position.
Yeah, no argument here.
Yeah. And um,
With all that being said, what do you say we wrap up the NFC and talk about the NFC North? We did brush on the Vikings and the Packers a little bit. Lions again, like they got beat pretty bad in the first three quarters by the Niners. Tried to come back in the fourth, but I mean, Lions
Kyle
defense still
Shanahan
has a
can't
lot
blow a
of
third
work to
lead.
do.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Shanahan couldn't blow a third lead. Too bad it wasn't the Super Bowls, but just had to throw that out there.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
Yeah,
since we mentioned the Niners, I actually want to go back and say one more thing.
yeah.
Just that I haven't, is that I was at first very confused as to why they traded up for Trey Lance when Garoppolo is like right there. Now I can sort of understand it, not because I feel like Lance is going to be such a significant upgrade over Jimmy G, but because they're just not going to be able to pay Jimmy G and just need another guy on a rookie deal with all the extensions they've been giving. Trent Williams, Fred Warner, just name a few. They're going to have to pay Nick Bosa at some point. So on that front, I can totally get behind the Trey Lance pick.
Yeah, it's more of a long-term deal, and that's why I get it, why I respect that of it. But you heard the 49ers, you heard why they should trade up for why they traded up?
Oh yeah, I did. To stop the Patriots from getting Mac Jones. Funny how that
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah. It's almost like they selected the different guy and the Patriots did up getting Mac Jones. I think in John Lynch's mindset was maybe the Patriots would trade up even more, but that didn't happen. But yeah, I think 49ers are playing the long ball, and I respect that. I love what John Lynch has been doing to this team. Like, I knew a lot of people when he first signed as GM, people were like, "Oh, why are you signing this hard-hitting safety who probably has brain damage in front of these guys who actually work for the position?" But John Lynch has proven to be an amazing GM, maybe even one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I forgot what I was really going to say about the Lions. To be perfectly
I
honest,
want to see Dan Campbell bite someone's kneecaps off. Hopefully Matt LaFleur's, but I think that's kind of over the line. Jared Goff's looking pretty good. I think he finally found rhythm. This Lions team isn't doing as bad as I think most of us thought they were, and
I
they
mean,
might not be
thinking
a
with the
playoff
Lion,
contender.
yeah, no, keep going. I'll
Yeah, they might not be a playoff contender this year, but they do have pretty. They could be something in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Lions sort of building that offensive line in earlier episodes. Thinking about the Lions, like people just sort of like he can get, but like not really like fully understand is like they're just the like perpetual reverse of the Bears, where the Bears will always have a good defense and a bad offense. The Lions will always have one of the best offenses in the league, held back by one of the worst defenses in the league. And I mean, from what we've seen from them for one game, let's see, losing 33-41, yeah, fits the bill.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit the bill. And obviously, the offense almost came back, which kind of just shows you how underrated Lions offenses have been in the past, which have been held back by offensive line woes, which have been fixed in recent years, and that defense. And no, you're gonna say something because
No. If you want to continue a point, you want to bring up something else.
no, it's not a point. It's um just switching to the AFC, well, to the other
Oh, well, we
AFC.
have. I mean, I don't know. We have one more team if you want to go over.
Oh yeah, let's go over then.
Um, I have a question. I actually want to start with Sort of good news, bad news for Bears fans. Here's the good news. Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery will probably get better this year.
Yes.
Sean Desai, your new defensive coordinator, might be able to take this defense back to the days of Fangio.
Yes.
You might have your franchise quarterback if your coaches don't fuck him up. Here's the bad news. That front seven ain't getting any younger. The offensive line, you cut your left tackle, drafted and traded up to draft a new guy in the second round, and he's out for the year. So you have to sign Jason Peters as a backup to your replacement. And Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, and Ted Phillips are all still there.
Yeah. Like when you said that Bears have to develop a quarterback, that's how you know it's not going to work out. But yeah, Bears fans, I wish you guys luck. And I know the Bills looking good. I know Browns looking good. So we're good. But for the Bears fans at home, yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, we can switch over to the AFC now.
So
talk a little bit about your Browns, my Bills, actually in similar situations. Tough loss week one, bouncing back, the dominant week two victory.
Yeah, and I guess just talk about the Bills because we did talk a little bit about the AFC East before. Very intense division, and I did say the Jets are going to be decent. I didn't think that they would have all the pieces. They have all the pieces to the chessboard.
You said they were going to be a wild card team.
I said no. The year after they will be the wild card team.
Sure.
I said they would be good though. I thought they were going to be above. I thought they were going to be 500 or at least seven and some 7 and not anymore. What is it like 7, 8 wins? I thought they were going to be. I did not think they were going to be this bad because this is the kid who has all the chess pieces, but he doesn't know how to play chess. This is what it reminds me of. You build your offensive line. You have the offensive weapons. You were fixing that defense. You have the pieces all there, but they keep fucking it up. I really don't know what more they need. And yes, Robert Saleh is a new head coach. It's obviously going to be different. And Zach Wilson is a rookie quarterback, but it's just I really don't know. And it feels like every year with the Jets, they always make a splash in free agency. But it always turns out to be the worst pieces they get. And I hopefully we don't see that this year. But it's not looking good.
Yeah, especially when you have the other three teams in division that legitimately all of them could be in the playoffs. All of them could end up winning the division. I mean,
yeah, and the Patriots do have that chip on their shoulder because they didn't make it last year, so they got more to fight for.
Yeah, neither did the Dolphins.
I'm still going to hold it up until we can't. So.
Yeah. By the way, I want to say something about the Dolphins. Their defense has been like, I know we had some questions about them after they cut Kyle Van Noy, but I mean, again, like from what I've seen, from what the stats show, like their defense has not really slowed down. I say that, and then I actually think of the 35-point beating they took from the Bills. So I probably spoke a little bit prematurely. I was more so thinking about their week one game, where they were, I mean, the prime reason they hung on to that win against the Patriots, forcing a fumble late in the game to eke out the 17-16 victory. And I mean, truthfully, like 35-0 is bad, but most of the first half, they actually were shutting down the Bills. They only scored on their first 2 drives. One of them, they started at the 40. So again, it's not as bad as it looks. And it does, like, now that I talk it through, actually make me a little bit concerned about that defense, but not as much as I thought I would be 2 weeks in.
Yeah. They're in a much better place, defensively at least, than they were in the offseason. We kind of know what they're going to be now, and they could make a splash. Get it? Because Dolphins. I'm the best, you know. And you know what team kind of surprised everyone? The Texans.
Yeah. I mean, like, by week one between them and the Jaguars, someone had to win, and we just thought, like, oh, it'd be between two worst teams in the league, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you saw the first quarter, first half. They were
Yeah,
actually holding their own against the Browns.
they were a great team. They had rhythm. They knew what they were doing. I got scared a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think this Texans team is very underrated. I think Tyrod Taylor, which that's how he says it's pronounced apparently, not Tyrod, whatever though, is a great quarterback. We all knew that for a while. He really fell down the slumps because every time he goes to a team, a rookie quarterback somehow always steals his spot. But Tyrod is playing great. The offense is playing good. They know how to work that rushing game, even though a lot of these guys are a little older. They know what they're doing. Brandon Cooks is looking unstoppable during the most part. Like this is just a team. The defense surprisingly isn't that bad at all. I mean, granted they played the first week was a rookie quarterback with the Jaguars and then the Browns, but they're not bad. I think this team can be pretty good. I mean, they're 20th for points. They're 20th for points against, and they're 9th for points for. This Texan team is going to be dominant, and I know this might be a really tough division, but I don't know. I think the Texans could make a surprise somewhere.
Well, first of all, I just want to say I did not have we may be underestimating the Texans on my 2021 bingo card, but I do have to disagree so far at least that the AFC South is going to be tough because I don't see it just yet. I saw a Texans team that again looked better than we thought, but the bar was pretty low. So I really I don't know if like how far they're really going to go. Chances are not very. Um, the Jaguars, who are still technically the worst team in football, the Indianapolis Colts, who, granted, did have a tough first 2 weeks, but are still 0-2, and their new prize quarterback, Carson Wentz, did suffer some ankle injuries, and we don't know whether he'll be on the field week 3 or not. But going by his injury history, that can't be good. And really, all that leaves is like winners by default, maybe, would be the Tennessee Titans, who, if you saw any bit of that week 1 game, looked atrocious. And again, what is supposed to make me think that they have any semblance of a defense?
Yeah, but I think this Titan team needs to find their rhythm. Obviously, their defense has always been an issue, but this offense is only getting stacked. I think once the Colts find the rhythm to do something, then things will change. Jaguars, Urban Miles might be out of the NFL by this year, but the Texans are looking pretty decent. I think this might be a fun division, if not that. And now, the best for last, the Bengals.
The Bengals.
The Bengals.
You know, there are some teams where, like, at this point in the season, you can so far just like you can't really judge them so much as you can judge how their opponents did against them. And that's kind of what I feel like the Bengals are in right now. They did again come away with a week 1 victory against the Vikings. Although, again,
It was ugly.
it was ugly, and it was probably a game more so that the Vikings lost than the Bengals won.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the same time, like week 2, a very close loss to the Bears, and that was admittedly one that I will say the Bengals probably lost due to 3 picks from Joe Burrow, the Roquan Smith pick 6. But it's not. I don't know. It felt like sort of like week 1, like you weren't really sure how the Bengals came up winning that game. I guess now you sort of see that the Bengals probably should be 0-2, but they'll take 1-1.
Yeah. But I think thankfully Burrow was able to bounce back. He's looking pretty good. Jamar Chase, obviously week 1 was better than week 2, but he is looking like a solid option for Burrow. It's kind of that comfortable sense, kind of what the Jaguars tried to do with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. I'm not going to try, but Bengals, you do have something to be a little optimistic for. It's not last year. This is something. Well, the defense isn't that good. Offense is looking better. Burrow's alive, and just pray. That's kind of it. Just pray. And so Ravens had an incredible game yesterday. Monday Night Football has been so fun these past 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football hasn't happened for
Sunday
2
Night Football
weeks
has been
yet.
fun these past 2 weeks. The statement still stands for both, though.
Yeah, I think it may just be the Ravens are a fun team to watch. I mean, I don't know if it's just me. Like anytime, like any quarterback scramble, like that's something I enjoy seeing. That may be why I like Mitch so much. That may be why I like Josh Allen so much. That is definitely why I enjoy watching Lamar Jackson so much.
Oh yeah. Listen, I love Lamar since the start. He was one of the only college people I knew because I wasn't into college football. Still not am. So I was really surprised when he fell that low. And I hate that he's in the Ravens, but I love how great he is. I'm not taking that away. I just hate that he plays good against my team sometimes. But I love Lamar. I think he's one of the fun quarterbacks. I think he's a great quarterback. Him and Mahomes is such a tagline. In that game to come down to the wire, it was a 1-point game. And for it to come like that, incredible.
Yeah, to end the way it did, like to where you can see John Harbaugh on the sideline saying, "You want to go for it," and he goes for it and makes it.
It's incredible. It's just incredible. It does bring me a smile to my face to see Lamar great. But you know what gives me a bigger smile?
Seeing the Steelers lose?
Yes. Seeing the Steelers lose. Look, they always have that one loss every year to some most random team. Last year they lost. 2 years ago they lost to the Raiders. Also last year they lost to some miserable team, which I don't remember. A few miserable teams actually. Bungles being one, football team being another one, Browns to us a few times. But yeah, I just love to see them lose. I keep saying this. It's always on the record. I love the Steelers' defense. I think their offensive personnel is kind of shit. I don't like I think the receivers are divas. Ben is obviously a pedophile. So I'm sorry, rapist. And yeah, those two big things you can't ignore. But it was great to see the shit get kicked out. And you know what's even better than that? The fan who shit his pants and had to wash it in the sink in Heinz Field.
I wish I could have lived my life never thinking about that again, but life isn't perfect.
Listen, that just really sums up the Steelers game, So I had to throw it in there for that. But Steelers never change. Never change.
All right. Before you move on to the Browns, and trust me, I know you have a lot to say, but I do want to talk about that Steelers defense because I feel like we do forget that it's as good as it is. Like what are they? They held the Bills to 16 points. But held the Raiders to just 26. I mean, which again in a high scoring league, like when you can do that, it's a good showing, and especially for at least the first 2 weeks for TJ Watt after his massive payday, the week 1 performance, the strip sack. If I'm not mistaken, he actually was hurt in that game against the Raiders. I mean, hopefully everything's okay with him, but let's stop forgetting about that Steelers defense.
Yes, they are incredible. Don't be surprised if they finish top 3 this year. They're just an incredible defense, fun to watch, great personnel on that side. Just a great defense, honestly.
And now for the Browns.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Week 1, incredible. We were playing to our competition. It looked like we had it. Then we blew the lead again, and that really sucked ass. But we didn't lose bad. Ronnie Harrison kept the coach, which was kind of funny, and we didn't lose that bad. But I feel then we beat the Texans, kind of close game. I think it was a 10-point game. My biggest issue is we always seem to blow leads. It always seems like we had these games in the bag. We had these incredible offense and defense performances. And then in the final quarter, or the last 2 quarters, we somehow almost fuck it up. We saw it last year many times, especially that Titans game when we were running 33 or 40 something to basically nothing, and we almost blew that. We blew a lead with the Chiefs, which is not that surprising. Chiefs are one of the best offenses in the league. But it seems that we always seem to blow something. Hopefully the offense looks incredible. There's so much happening there. Hopefully Jarvis' injury isn't too bad. I think it's only going to be a 2-week to a month thing. Odell might come back next year, which is going to be major, but that defense has to step up. On paper, this defense is great. Let's see the execution for once.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know a single person who isn't excited in some capacity for what the Browns can do this season. I will say I did get a little bit sidetracked during that rant because while we were recording, Salvador Perez just made history. I know this isn't football, but I feel like I'd miss it on any recap later. But he just hit his 46th home run of the season, which is the most by a catcher in MLB history. So hats off to him.
Let's go, Salvador. One of the best catchers of our generation, one of the most underrated. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good as note as any to end it off on.
Yeah, I think it's good.
All right. Honestly, it is getting kind of late. So we got places to be. Thank you so much for listening to us and bearing with us. We do this every single Mondays and Fridays, hopefully. Fridays, generally we want to have like a more of a random sort of discussion episode, though we'll probably be using it this week to catch up on all the other stuff we missed. So look forward to that. If you have any questions, comments, or something you want us to talk about, you can always leave a comment down below on YouTube or email us at number 2 fanspodcast@gmail.com. So until next time, we will talk to you then.